Business.
Well, we see Ricky's in the picture.
We are outside. Most people unmasked and we just take a that necessary. We want to kind of bring you from what it is under the scene. And we always do it with us.
Thank you. Let's give our wonderful mayor a round of applause.
First. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get Ricky, I'm going to get you to move our podium. All right, we're going to take some of that formality out of things. And thank you. Let's give City of Jonesboro another big round of applause, please. Today would not be possible, and I know Sharice mentioned this, but we cannot thank our sponsors enough. Our sponsors here today have made today possible. You guys are the backbone of all of our events, all of our programs, all of our initiatives, all of my dreams. I feel like when I call people, they are starting to block my number because I am always making an ask. But I will say that this business community has stepped up in a number of ways. Even in the pandemic, even during an economic downturn, this community continues to support the efforts of this chamber. And for that, I am eternally grateful. So thank you very much. In addition to our sponsors, as we said, again, our public sector partners, and I can't brag on them enough, they do great work in our communities. They have great vision, but they also need the assistance of our nonprofit sectors and our private sector investors in order to push things through. So we need to be supportive of their efforts as we are trying to move the needle in our communities. So thank you all at the local, state, and again at the federal level for the work that you're doing. We've got a number of members here today, all ladies mostly, with the exception of a couple of our lovely guys who joined us, but thank you all for coming out. I know the Women in Business program has had such a rich history in this organization, and although we are coming on the tail end of a pandemic, we did not want to waste another month without saying thank you to our business entrepreneurs and to our budding entrepreneurs and our women in community leadership. It is you who are, you're driving business. Most of the members who have signed up with us in the last 10 months that I've been on board have been women-owned businesses. Thank you. Thank you all for your memberships. I'm seeing Ms. Toyin out there. She's a new member, and she's excited about her business and about getting engaged. And there are several others of you who have made mention of wanting to network and build relationships. And so the Chamber will be creating those opportunities. So without further ado, what I want to do is go ahead and have our esteemed panel join me on the stage. These ladies have been at the forefront of my mind throughout the process when we were identifying who we wanted to serve on our panel. Right off the rip, I knew that we wanted to have Chief Magistrate Judge Keisha Hill. Right out the gate, I knew that. And then after that, I thought, well, who else could we have? Well, Chelsea Foles just won our Carl G. Rodenizer Award at the Chamber's annual gala, so that made perfect sense to me. And then someone who's innovative, someone who's thinking outside of the box, not just with their business, but in terms of what they can do to help young women grow and succeed. Ms. Tamery, I wanted to invite her from Be Merry Studio here in downtown Jonesboro. We had to have a downtown Jonesboro native. And then last but not least, Shaquanah Hamilton with the Omni-Day Spa in Morrow. Y'all can sit wherever you wish. The Omni-Day Spa in Morrow. Shaquanah just started her business about 1.5 years ago, and she's doing great things in the city of Morrow. If you haven't had an opportunity to come out and get your lashes done or your brows, and you want to do that in Morrow, please go by and visit her day spa. It's a really lovely facility, and we've done a ribbon cutting there. So thank you all, ladies. I'm gonna let y'all have a seat, and I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna let you have I'm going to join you here, and we're just really going to have kind of a dialogue. Like I said, the real crux of the conversation here today is about leadership, servant leadership, how you're helping other people, how you're growing both personally and professionally, and then how you're addressing opportunities and gaps and challenges that you may face or that you have faced as you're growing your business, or as you are climbing that corporate ladder, or as you're leading an organization, or as you are presiding, over the court. Everybody, in your program, their bios are here and they're rather extensive, very impressive bios, as you will see. So I won't belabor and read through all of that. But what I will say is that everyone on this stage has earned the right to be up here and talk about some challenges and some opportunities. And so what I really want to do is I'm going to kick off this conversation, and I'm going to get my notes here going. I'm going to kick off the conversation about with Shaquanah and Tamara. I'm going to let you ladies go first and talk a little bit about how have your previous professional and personal experiences, how has that shaped your decision to start a business?
Well, as a young girl, I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner, even before I knew what a businesswoman was, because I'm a daughter of a teen mom. My mom was 15 years old when she had me, and I grew up with my grandmother, so I was practically raised by her. And so I was raised in a family where women just ran it. I mean, they ran the show. And seeing my grandmother go through a hard time when I was about 9 years old after she and my grandfather divorced, she had to make her mortgage payment. She never had to work in her life. And what she did was she took the funds that she had and she went to the store and she bought food because everyone loved her cooking. And she sold plates from her home. And what I learned from that, even as a young child, that you know what? Despite whatever situation you're in, you have to take what you have. That's what's innately in you and make things happen. So as I grew up and started my career, I would work in environments with people that didn't always have good work ethic. And just working with a lot of women sometimes, as you know, can be kind of chaotic, right? So I wanted to implement something that would bring forth a change in how we would treat each other in our work environment. And so as a trainer for many years, I would write on the board, be the change you want to see. Because as my trainees went out to the floor to kind of shadow the other workers that have been there for years, they would come back with complaints and saying that, they're not acting upon what we're learning in the classroom with you. And so what I instilled in them is to put out what you expect to get back. And after just working for so many years, when I transferred from the private sector to the public sector, working for the Georgia Department of Labor, I decided that, although I loved what I did, it wasn't the client or the people that I was serving, it was the internal client. So I just jumped. I had no business plan. I had no money saved. I didn't even have a business name. But I knew that I was going to take a leave and go for what I wanted to go for, and that was starting my own business. So in 6 months, when they called me to come back to work, I was like, you know what? I'm not coming back. I joined the chamber and I got support. And there were women there that had their hands in my back from day one. Dawn, Felicia, a lot of you guys out there, and they took me under their wing as a little sister and gave me the courage that I need to let me know that I can do this. So that's what pretty much inspired me. Right.
That's part of being an entrepreneur. You never know what your day's gonna be like. I was in scrubs and I was like, I cannot go there in scrubs. I have to completely change. But anywho, same thing. Starting from a childhood, I did not plan to be an entrepreneur. I was supposed to be a singer. Okay, to be the next Beyonce. It did not happen. My family's like, yeah, you cannot sing. What else do you want to do? So my sisters, I have 2 older sisters, and they realized that I was really good at pampering other people. Like I just had a passion for that. And then as a teenager, I had really bad cystic acne, and it drove me crazy. Went to so many different dermatologists, nothing worked. That's when Proactive came out. Nothing worked. So finally, I was like, I want to help others with their skin. I'm sure there's other people out there that have the same issue. And then it went from, I didn't want to be in school that long. Got lazy. So I decided to go to college school. which worked out. I did hospitality school. I worked for a spa back home. I'm from Hilton Head Island. And it's a 5-star spa. And working there and how they treated their clients, they treat their clients, including all of our clients with celebrities. The atmosphere was very serene. The music was relaxing. You can use your cell phone. So it was like a getaway from everyday life. And that's what I love about that. The owner of the spa, the way she treated us was like royalty. So that inspired me, that put both of my dreams together. You know what? I really love helping people. I love pampering people. And I also want to have that atmosphere for others. So that's how I was but I wanted to also make sure that it was something for men and women to enjoy. Because, yes, we go to the spa a lot too, and men are starting to pamper themselves as well, and they should. They work just as hard, they go just as much as we do. And it's nice to do it as a couple as well. And so that's what I wanted to do for others, and I still do. I've always given, being that employer, being that entrepreneur, and being that person with others.
That's great. And, one thing I heard from, what both Tammy and Shaquanah said was they were inspired, by someone or something inspired them. And so that really is a great segue into our next question that I'm going to turn to my ladies here and ask, what or who has influenced your career path as a servant leader? Because both these ladies are servant leaders. So what has influenced your career path as a servant leader? And then let's take it a step further and talk about how you're using your own influence to reach back, as Dr. Green said in her invocations, reach back and give back to others.
Thank you. Well, as far as inspiration, I have two individuals. Initially, my inspiration, I would say, would be the late Honorable Thurgood Marshall. When I was just up the road at Lovejoy High School in 1990, sitting in my English class and having an assignment to do, I did a paper on Thurgood Marshall, and that one assignment changed the trajectory of my life. And then I researched Thurgood Marshall. He was the first African-American United States Supreme Court Justice, and to just discover that he was a champion of the poor, that he spoke for those that didn't have a voice, that he wanted to fight for equality and justice for everyone. And it just built up something in me that I wanted to follow in his footsteps. So that's what initiated my career path. As far as the president, I will say, and I'm proud to say, someone who I look at as a servant leader who has inspired me is our own chairman, Chairman Jeffrey Turner. The reason why, he's a man of action. He doesn't just talk about what he wants to do, he does it. He's not afraid to make hard decisions. He was not going to ask anyone to do something that he's not willing to do himself. He's actively engaged and involved in the community. He has an ear for his constituents, and he's here to serve. And so I look at him on a daily basis as far as a servant leader. Now, as far as the second part of the question was, how do I influence? Okay. To whom much is given, much is required. So when you are in a position of power and influence, it's your obligation, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to help others to come along the way. So I do that by speaking whenever possible in the schools, from elementary on up. I've had interns, because before I took the bench, I just took the bench January 1st. Prior to that, I had my own private law firm, which was located in downtown Jonesboro for 18 years. And so I took interns in the high school level on up, high school, college, law school. Anytime there is someone, I come across a youth or someone that has an interest in law, it's my obligation to reach out, to answer their questions, to be available, to allow them to call me if they have any questions, to provide internships, to do whatever is necessary to help them get to the next level. I had a mentor, attorney Ivory T. Brown, and she gave me an opportunity to serve as far as working at her law firm one summer after my first year. And she gave me an opportunity. She gave me a chance. And that's what you have to do. When someone walks in, You don't know. You have to take a chance. And when you do that, the sky is the limit. And so everybody has an obligation to touch somebody, to reach out, to help, to uplift, to empower each and every person that's walking, living, breathing. You don't know how one little word that you say or one deed that you do can change the trajectory of someone's life.
Thank you. So my path to strategic leadership, really, I think started early on. I knew early on from the other ladies that what I wanted to do most was to give back to others, and especially in my community. I am a lifelong Clayton County, Jonesboro resident, so in those 35 years, I've had nothing but joy growing up here. I went to our elementary, I graduated from Jonesboro High School, and going off to college, I was very unsure of what road I might take. I didn't have that clearly, focused and figured out, but I did know that whatever it was going to be to, serve others. And as I learned about leadership in school and the different forms and how that takes, I just knew, when I heard servant leadership and what that was, it was like, oh, well, that is it. That is what I want to do. I don't want to be someone that's telling others what to do and how they can do it better, but I want to serve them and bring them up so that they are leaders themselves. So I just think that, I was grown up with that kind of, passion, and I've been able to kind of grow in that way. I've also been, through being at the clinic, been surrounded by a lot of mentors. The first one that comes to mind is Dr. Johnson, Dr. Charles Johnson, who was our medical director for 10, 12 years at Good Shepherd Clinic. He retired when he was in his 90s. He, after serving Clayton County for 50 years as a physician that many of you probably know of or had as a physician, he showed me servant leadership in coming back and wanting to serve his community and those who were most vulnerable. I know in his private practice, early on in the 50s, he was having individuals come into his private practice, and they couldn't, pay for their medical care, but it was so important. So, they would bring him vegetables that they grew. They would, do anything to, repay for that. So I think that had a big impact on me. Also, one of the first board chairs that I worked with, his name was LT, and he was very integral in me kind of understanding where I was being led to. He believed in me far before I believed in myself, and he was always offering the best advice and lifting me up. And I think that's very important, especially he was a longtime Delta man, and just looking at me as a young person and saying, I see this in you. This is your path, and I believe in you, and you're going to do great things. And that's a big thing for a young girl just starting out. So I think that's kind of how I got there.
That's great. And you know what? I think we all could probably take a look in the mirror and count on a hand how many people have played an integral part in our own development, whether personally or professionally. I'm a huge advocate of servanthood leadership. I read servanthood leadership. I try to live servanthood leadership every day in what I'm doing. But I can feel the passion for what you're doing coming across, not only in the bios that we read or in the work that we see you doing or what you're saying, but you're living it every day, and the work that you're doing, the results come, and it speaks for itself. And so I'll take that now. I'm going to turn that again back to how we are grooming and identifying ways to, champion the next generation. What are we doing? And I know you have something very special that you're working on, Tammy, that I'd love for you to share with the rest of our attendees.
Absolutely. So Tenacity Works is a new nonprofit that I established. And get it out of here. And I'm looking to launch the program this summer. And it is working with youth and in women and men alike in business. But the focus on is providing them with experience and exposure to life skills, establishing your business, as well as implementing the arts and culture into that as well. Every month, I host a pop-up shop for small businesses and entrepreneurs to launch and sell their products and services, and to just be that platform for them to, get their information out there and let people know that, hey, I'm up and coming. And also, I work with other organizations because partnering with other businesses is a great opportunity. You're not only the collaboration is important because you help support one another and building one another in your business. And that's why I make it a point to always network with my fellow sisters, with anything that they have going in, if it's a non-for-profit as well. I make sure that I have an open door because all the time you don't have the funds when you're up and coming and starting a business for certain things. And so when you provide it with an opportunity to help someone else, that's what you do.
Yeah, and it seems like this is kind of spawned just from you stumbling through, if you will, your business and getting it off the ground, not knowing, not having a business name, not having a plan, not knowing what to do. You realize that there are other ladies and gentlemen out there who may be going through the same thing. And so you pull them together so that you guys can talk in a forum and you can help them. I think that's fantastic. So thank you for that one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, now switch gears, but we know that there are opportunities. There are also and always challenges lurking. And so why don't we start, and I'm going to start on this end this time, and find out what have been some of your biggest career challenges. And ladies, we've still got a few questions, so I'm going to let you guys zip through some of this and give us the high points, and then we're going to move forward.
I think the biggest challenge that I have had and still continue to have is achieving optimal work-life balance. It's been challenging as an entrepreneur, as an attorney running my own law firm. It's challenging as a chief magistrate judge. From sun up to sundown, being able to juggle all of the many things that we have to handle as business women. From getting our children ready for school, assignments, virtual learning, husbands, work. It's not so much traffic anymore because now we're Zooming. But as I have a backlog because of pandemic. It's just so many things that you're juggling. So how can you be your best you and be happy, build up your business, and especially as an entrepreneur. Because as an entrepreneur, I can speak on it, you hold many hats. You're the rainmaker, you're the secretary, you're IT. You're human resources, your accounts payable, accounts receivable, all of that. And then you have to do whatever it is that you do in your business. And so how are you able to maintain, how are you able to balance without teetering all the way over, being excellent in your work and in your business, but your home might fall apart? Or throwing everything in to home, but work is falling off. Or giving your all to work and giving your all to home, and then you're falling off. And so I went to my annual physical, and I was getting blood taken. I'm just sitting there, and I'm just looking at things on the wall, and I saw this sign that said stress but it was an acronym for stress. Stress, S, self-care. We say that word, but do we really do it? Our manis, our pedis, our hair, our bubble bath, taking some time to ourselves, whether it's a drive, T, time management. Are we really managing our time? Because we all have 24 hours in a day. It's what you do with those 24 hours. Are you taking advantage of your time? Or are you wasting your time? Are you planning out your day? Are you planning out your week, your month, what you want to accomplish in the next year, the next 3 years, the next 5 years, and then working that plan? Or are you just stumbling through life each and every day, just trying to get through? And so how you do time management, you have to prioritize, right? R, which is big for us ladies. Rest. We're always up. My coffee. Go. Get. Work. Traffic. Get back home. Dinner. Work. Homework. Kids. It's a lot. So where's the rest? Eat. Exercise. Now, some people are on it. Raise your hand if you are exercising 3 to 5 times a week consistently. All right. Raise them high, because we need to look to y'all for encouragement and motivation. But guess what? There's more hands that are down than there are up. Right? So your health is your wealth. You're no good to anybody if you're in the hospital. You have to take the time to do what is necessary for you to live each and every day. Because if not, you're going to be taking the time you laid up in the hospital somewhere. Right? S. Self-care. I already said self-care, didn't I? S. I forgot the other S. One of the S's is simplify. Simplify your life. Do you have 50 of one thing? Is it really necessary? And I know I might get, I knew I was going to throw out shoes. I know I was going to get a couple of checks, all these things, because that's the only way, the whole total package, that's how you can achieve, and it's something that you have to work on each and every day. Achieving work-life balance, because you have to, in order to live the life you love, you got to love the life that you live, right? Nobody is promised tomorrow. We have today. We hope for tomorrow. But in order to get tomorrow, we need to do to take advantage of today. And as women, as ladies, as business leaders, as mothers, as activists, all that you do, remember, you can't be great for someone else unless you take care of yourself.
Well, I think that answered the whole thing. So Yeah, that's okay. All right, well, guys, we're gonna switch gears here before we close this out. I know we're just a couple minutes over here, but I want to ask, actually, I'm gonna ask this question to Shaquanah. Now, Shaquanah is still young. She's a young entrepreneur, but I'm sure that she would have something interesting on this one. What advice would you give your younger self if you had to do it all over again? If you were starting out, leaping into your own business, what would be different? What advice would you give to yourself?
Trusting myself. Not doubting. Getting rid of yeah, so trusting myself first. Not marketing was about trusting my process. Being more focused on what I wanted, not trying to please others all the time like I did. And definitely being more active and passionate about how I feel. So, for example, sometimes I didn't voice my opinions for things that I should have. I spoke up for myself. Now I do. I feel like I would have gotten more respect for certain situations. And just trusting God. I mean, that is a big thing. Even though I was raised that way, I come from a family entrepreneurs. My mom and dad are retired at 60. So just they always brought God in my life and trusting God, remembering my mom always tells me treat people how you want to be treated, right? So even though they may not treat you that way, treat others that way. And I was raised that way. It was hard. It was hard, especially when you're trying to navigate people. Like, I can go back and shattered. Just things like that, believing in yourself again, just having that faith in God.
All right, and I'm going to ask Chelsea as a nonprofit executive, and I can certainly relate, but tell us, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to serve in their community and kind of don't know where to begin? Help us with that.
I mean, there are just so many opportunities available to just put your, get your foot wet. I would say kind of think about what your own passions are, what you're really excited about, because that's what you're gonna put your whole heart into it. If you find there is a nonprofit, there is a cause for literally everything, and if there's just something that you're really interested in, or you think you could be have a great difference in being a part of a group, I think that's the best place to start. Start with your passions and greater pursuits.
All right, so this is the tail end, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give each of these ladies an opportunity for a 60-second sell or a 60-second plug. Everybody's got a sell and a plug and an elevator pitch. If you don't, come and see me, and we will talk. I'll teach you your elevator pitch. But let's start on this end, and we'll work our way across. 60 seconds, ladies.
I would say, giving advice to push you again. Motivationally and from an educational standpoint, I know many of you already have your businesses established, but just making sure that you share the information that I know helps me, and making sure that you find a mentor and having someone to take you through that 1, 2, 3 step of your business, knowing that networking
So when you checked in, you dropped your business card
Giving
and for an opportunity
back,
prizes.
collaborating,
I'm gonna give
and affirming what it is.
Giving us some prizes today. So I'm first going to give away from Be Merry 4 free hours of event time for either a cocktail party, eating, or a workshop. Any kind of downtown Jonesboro.
And to me, so
And our winner for that is Dr. Deborah or Dr. Johnson Lake. And our thank you, Dr. Congratulations to Henry at the end. Your prize. Thank you. And let me quickly shout out all of our table sponsors here today. Our friends at the Regional Medical Center, hello. And then, of course, our friends at LTI, located here in Jonesboro, all of our big table sponsors today. Our next guest comes from I never asked you what all she does. And so if you're looking for some differing and some time, men or women, out to yourselves for relaxation, definitely look up with us afterwards. So our winner for a $50 gift card to the Omni-Day Spa located in Morrow goes to our friends at Breeze Staffing Agency. Ms. Allen. You have to work.
I do. Literally, I do.
So I am a 5-star spa. Right here, we just cater to people like I said,
Georgia goes to
body waxing.
House of Dawn.
And we do monthly specials. We offer discounts. County,
All right,
tomorrow.
to our board chair.